just out there sitting on their butts most of the time. Hey everyone, it's Olivia. Thanks so much for coming back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about special interests. I'm going to go over what they are, the pros and cons to them, and then talk about what my special interests have been throughout my life later on in the video. So jumping into the video now, what are autistic special interests? They're basically anything that an autistic person is super passionate about and loves, and it can be, you know, a topic such as like science or history. It could be a thing such as a car or a sports team. It can be anything. It's just something that we're super passionate about and really love, and we usually know a lot about the subject. Once we become interested in something, like, we need to learn everything there is to know about it. We need to know, and we're just so involved in it. You can kind of relate it to a hobby, but it's like a hobby on steroids. Like, everybody has hobbies, and a lot of times neurotypical people, they can have a hobby, but they can like do other things and like other things and, like, you know, not think about that hobby at points in time. But for autistic people, a lot of times our special interests are like very like the focal point of our lives and are very, very important to us, and we can't just like not think about them. We go beyond a neurotypical's level of interest and love for a topic, and it can even like become very obsessive to us even. Special interests are usually very important to people on the spectrum, and they can be very comforting to us. I know that if I'm having a bad day, or I'm like experiencing meltdown symptoms, or I'm coming off a meltdown, I'll go do something that is a special interest of mine to kind of help myself recover and just feel better and feel calmer. Special interests can be lifelong, or they can be short-lived. I know for me, a lot of my special interests have been short-lived because I'll burn myself out on them, because I'll like find something that I like out of the blue, dive like 10,000% into it and learn everything about it, and then I'm like, okay, well now I'm bored and I'm moving on. From what I've seen, males are more likely to have like lifelong special interests, and females on the spectrum are more likely to have more shorter-lived experiences, because we can experience so much burnout. Like I said, once I've learned everything there is to know on the topic, I tend to get bored, and then when I get bored, I get anxious, and then it's a bad cycle, and then I just completely cut it off and never think of it again. And it doesn't have to just be about one thing. You can have multiple special interests. So I know I always have had multiple special interests throughout my life that I'll again get into a little bit later. Sometimes we'll know why we become interested in one of our special interests, but a lot of times we have no idea why we started liking something so much. I know for me, one of my special interests is football, hence the jersey. People would ask me, you know, throughout my life, like, what got you into football? And literally all I can remember is waking up one day when I was 11 years old and having this like burning desire inside of me to learn everything there was about football. I wanted to play football, I wanted to go to NFL games, I wanted to just learn everything. And I literally don't know why. That's all I can remember. I can just remember waking up one day hating football, the next day loving football and being obsessed with it. My poor dad that season, all I did was ask like a zillion questions about the games. Like, what's this mean? What's that mean? Why'd they do this? Why'd they do that? He's probably never been more annoyed with me. Having special interests can, in my opinion, be both good and bad. They can be good because, you know, we can become super, super good at something very quickly because we can hyper focus on whatever we're really interested in, and we become like a master of our craft. But on the flip side of that, because we can become obsessive, that sometimes we're so caught up in our special interests that we can't do, you know, daily chores or activities that are needed to live. We'll be so obsessed with our special interests that we forget to do our actual work. If we're not working in the field of our special interests, we'll forget to brush our teeth or do dishes, things like that. I know when I'm into something, like, I have a very hard time actually like pulling myself away and doing what I need to do for said day. A lot of people think that autistic people have, you know, special interests in like trains and engineering and things like that, and that's totally can be possible. But because girls on the spectrum often have special interests that mirror their neurotypical counterparts, so like horses, dance, cheerleading, makeup, hair, things like that, that can actually cause them to go misdiagnosed. It looks like they're just into the same things any normal girl is into, but the autistic girl, their interest in whatever subject that another neurotypical girl could be into goes again above and beyond the neurotypical girl's level of interest in the topic. So what are my special interests? I've definitely had a lot of special interests throughout my life because I tend to burn out quickly on my special interests. I never knew why. I was always like, why do I like love something so much, and then like one day I'll wake up and be like, I never want to think about that again. It would drive me nuts. I'm like, why do I do that? That's not normal. And so finally when I got diagnosed, it all made sense to me. I was like, oh, that's why. When I was younger, my special interest was horses, and I mentioned this in another video. I knew everything there was about horses. I rode, I competed, I loved horses. I wanted my own horse. My parents said no, which is probably a good thing because I ended up moving on to football when, like I said, I was 11. And then I started playing football. That then grew into my special interest of journalism and writing. And I wanted to combine that special interest in football into my career. So I wanted to be a sports journalist. I had so many different internships and stuff. I worked at the local newspaper. I worked at the big newspaper in the bigger city of San Diego. I worked at Sports Illustrated and other magazines, and then I finally got my dream job at the NFL Network. But then of course I burnt out on that. I still very much love football and it's a big part of my life, but it's definitely not at the level that it once was. I can equate that some to burnout, but also some to the fact that my home team of the San Diego Chargers left to the crappy city of Los Angeles, and that like kind of ruined it for me. Basically, I went from wearing like Chargers gear like literally every day, even in the off season, to now like I'll wear my Colts Phil Rivers jersey, you know, occasionally. I've obviously had a special interest of baking. I'm now almost 7 years into my business that involves technically unbaking, but involves, you know, baking ingredients and stuff, and I'm very much burnt out on that, and it's torturous to work at times, but I'm proud of myself for sticking with it because it's going on 7 years and I've never stuck with something that long. I'm very interested in cars and Formula One racing, and this has always been a passion of mine because it's a passion of my dad's, and so I was raised around cars and racing and things like that, so that's always been something that I really loved. And when the Chargers got taken away from me, I kind of switched over to being more obsessed with Formula One instead of football, so that kind of took football's place. I also one day woke up and decided I wanted to build my own furniture. I decided I was gonna learn everything there was to know about furniture building on YouTube. So, you know, I was looking up videos, articles, whatever. I built my own coffee table, my own kitchen table, my nightstands, my bed, several other things, and I did it all from my apartment. I literally was sawing and screwing and everything from my apartment, and I got really good, and so that's still something I enjoy doing. And then obviously, like I said, true crime has always been something I really love. I love watching documentaries, constantly watching documentaries on Netflix or wherever I can get them. Like I said, go watch Steiner and Hernandez ones. Those are like my favorite, I think, that I've ever watched. I just recently watched, literally I finished this morning before I filmed this, The Sons of Sam on Netflix, which was very entertaining. My newest special interest is baseball, and I don't even know if it's like quite at the level of like true special interest, but it's almost there. And I used to hate baseball, and it's funny because I come from a baseball family on my mom's side. My grandpa played for the Red Sox and my cousin currently plays for the Phillies, but I've just never been interested. I thought this is the most boring sport. I like football. I like people hitting and things going on that are exciting all the time. Not stupid baseball. They're just out there sitting on their butts most of the time. This year, the San Diego Padres have been really good and they have really fun players on their team, and it's actually been really entertaining for me to watch. And it's again something that I can have on to like calm my brain down, and they're usually late at night. So I'll be in bed watching the Padres from one ear or one eye and then playing June's Journey on the other one. So that is it for this video on special interests. Thank you so much for watching. I'd love to know your special interests in the comments, or what you think of my crazy all over the place special interests. I hope you have a wonderful week. God bless, and I will see you next time.